Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation Policies and Procedures training class for Coming of Age Facilitators and Mentors, hosted by Lifespan Faith Development. All individuals engaged in ongoing work with minors at UUC are required to complete policy training prior to beginning a volunteer assignment. The policies that we will be covering can be found on the UUC website in the members area, in the document library, and on the Lifespan Faith Development page. UUC policies are located in the UUC Policy and Procedures Manual, Part 1. Within the UUC Policy and Procedures Manual is a section called the Child Abuse Prevention Policy. In accordance with this policy, all adults engaged in ongoing work with minors must pass both background and reference checks. No person with a criminal background will be allowed to work with minors at UUC. Your background check is good for 4 years. Background checks are not required for parents assisting in their child's program as requested or required, or for one-time volunteers as long as a background-checked person is also in attendance. UUC employs a two-adult rule that states that 2 adults should remain with children at all times. This policy exists to protect youth from abuse and to protect facilitators and mentors from accusations of abuse. All classes and meetings should have a minimum of 2 adults in attendance. You should avoid situations in which you are alone with a child, and you should not be alone with a child in a room with closed door. If an activity in coming of age necessitates breaking into separate groups with 1 adult and 1 youth in a room, doors should be kept open at all times. If you are transporting a youth, you must have the express permission of the child's parent or guardian. One of the most convenient ways to obtain permission is to ask for an email from the parent prior to transporting the child. The windows and the doors of classrooms and meeting rooms must remain unobstructed at all times. The Director of Lifespan Faith Development or the minister may revisit a classroom or meeting room with no notice. We may not prohibit parents and guardians from observing, but they are encouraged to refrain from attending to protect the privacy of youth. As a facilitator or mentor, you are in a position to observe potential signs of child abuse. If you suspect child abuse, you are strongly encouraged to make a report to the Department of Social Services or to Blacksburg Police within 72 hours. Regardless of whether or not you have made a report, you must also report your suspicions immediately to the Director of Lifespan Faith Development, the minister, or the president of the board. If you feel unable to make a report to the Department of Social Services or police yourself, the minister or Director of Lifespan Faith Development will make the report for you. Both the minister and the Director of Lifespan Faith Development are mandatory reporters. No person suspected of child abuse will be permitted to have any contact with children or youth until the allegation is resolved. UUC also has in place a policy about managing convicted sex offenders who may attend church services or activities. If you become aware that a convicted sex offender is attending church, you should immediately notify the minister or Director of Lifespan Faith Development. At that point, the steps of the UUC policy will be followed, and the person will not be allowed to have any contact with children or youth at UUC. The person will be asked to sign a limited access agreement. You can read more about this policy in the UUC Policy and Procedures Manual, Part 1, under Managing Convicted Sex Offenders. In addition to the UUC policies that govern all individuals working with minors, there are also a few policies put into place by Lifespan Faith Development that all adults must follow. A very important policy involves offering food in classrooms and meetings. You will be provided a list of allergies in your group at the beginning of the year. Participants will be picking up their own food at the potluck. However, be aware of the list of allergies in your group to minimize exposure for allergic youth. Pay particular attention to youth in your group with nut allergies. Food should not be brought in for the entire group by parents or other outsiders unless it is coordinated in advance with the facilitators or with the Director of Lifespan Faith Development. The provision of additional food at your meeting is at your own discretion. All facilitators, mentors, and participants in the Coming of Age program are expected to participate in a covenant of confidentiality. All information shared is confidential, including but not limited to medical conditions, learning or developmental disabilities, or discipline issues. Information is confidential regardless of the forum in which it is shared. However, there is a limit to confidentiality. If it becomes known that a youth is hurting himself or herself, someone is hurting him or her, or he or she is hurting someone else, we do not keep this information secret. You should immediately inform the Director of Lifespan Faith Development or the minister if this line is crossed. Although open flame is prohibited downstairs, use of a real candle and flame in the library is at the discretion of the facilitator. A real candle and an LED candle are both provided for your use. For both levels, no smoking of any kind is allowed, including sage or incense. For LFD groups of all ages, we have a list of prohibited behaviors referred to as the Big Four. This policy identifies 4 main areas of prohibited behavior at UUC, regardless of area or setting. No sexualized behavior of any kind is allowed. Possession and/or use of drugs and alcohol is prohibited. All forms of violence are prohibited, physical, verbal, sexual, or otherwise, and no weapons of any type are allowed. In addition to the Big Four, there are a few behavior rules that apply to all groups and are also non-negotiable. Youth should always ask permission before they leave a room so that you always know where they are. We expect that supplies and property will be respected and are not to be wasted or destroyed. Everyone should wait their turn to speak, and everyone is expected to clean up their own mess. And finally, disparaging comments and put-downs are not appropriate to any gathering of lifespan faith development and should not be tolerated. Your group should create their own covenant of behavior at the beginning of each year that details any other areas of behavior that the group deems important. When your meeting ends, youth may wait for parents in Elarth or the lobby. However, parents are still expected to come inside to sign out their children so the facilitators are aware that the child has been picked up. No child may exit the building without the permission of their parent or guardian. If class ends and a parent is slow to retrieve a child, inform the Director of Lifespan Faith Development. Should an accident occur during your class or meeting, please fill out an accident report and leave it in the Director of Lifespan Faith Development's office or mailbox. Accident reports are kept in the downstairs RE office in the sorter near the door. For meetings held off-site, you should be sure to review the policies in the manual concerning field trips. You must have a minimum of 3 approved volunteers chaperoning all field trips. The adult-to-youth ratio should never be less than 1 adult per 7 youth. All adult leaders must be at least 25 years old. Drivers of youth must be previously certified as approved drivers. You'll be given a list of approved drivers at the beginning of the year, and the list will also be maintained on the Lifespan Faith Development page of the Members section of the UUC website. For all field trips, parents must complete a permission form. During the year, as you have questions, you may ask the Director of Lifespan Faith Development for guidance or refer to the information located on our website in the Members section. The Lifespan Faith Development link on the Members section of uucnrv.org will be a one-stop shopping experience for all your needs as a facilitator or mentor in the Coming of Age program. This concludes UUC policy training for Lifespan Faith Development. Thank you for volunteering as a facilitator or mentor for Coming of Age.